Carney humiliated. His secret weapon backfires. Conflicts fuel Canada's recession fears. Canada's economy is navigating turbulent waters, facing both domestic and international pressures that threaten growth. The 1.6% annualized GDP contraction in Q2, the first in nearly 2 years, has rattled multiple sectors and raised doubts about economic resilience. A 26.8% drop in exports, driven largely by U.S. tariffs under President Trump, disrupted trade and supply chains, particularly in manufacturing, automotive, and natural resource sectors, contributing to a $19.6 billion trade deficit. Alberta, once the country's economic powerhouse, now reports GDP per capita below 2006 levels, highlighting regional vulnerabilities. While U.S. trade policies are a factor, years of Liberal government mismanagement, ranging from energy production challenges to overregulation, have hindered Canada's ability to adapt to evolving global and domestic conditions. Investor confidence has sharply declined, slowing business investments essential for long-term growth. Policy missteps, including high pipeline tolls, strict carbon caps, and inconsistent energy strategies, have undermined production and exports. Regulatory uncertainty and mixed federal messaging have fostered unpredictability, deterring investment and innovation. International observers, including the OECD, warn of structural weaknesses such as weak productivity, rising household debt, and global competitiveness challenges. These pressures demand decisive, accountable leadership to restore confidence among investors, businesses, and Canadians, or risk prolonging economic instability. Mark Carney's response to the economic crisis has stirred debate. He appointed Dawn Farrell, former CEO of Trans Mountain and BC Hydro, to lead the new Major Projects Office, MPO, in Calgary, aiming to streamline large infrastructure and energy projects. While Farrell brings sector experience, her ties to Brookfield Renewable Partners, where Carney later worked, raise concerns over conflicts of interest and cronyism, potentially undermining public trust and the MPO's credibility. Critics argue these overlaps suggest prioritizing personal networks over impartial economic reform. The MPO reflects a broader shift toward green energy, hydroelectric projects, modular housing, and LNG exports, framed as job creators and economic stimulants. Yet progress remains limited, with bureaucracy and political hurdles stalling meaningful action. Experts warn that a minority government may struggle to implement these plans, leaving Canadians skeptical about their authenticity. While the government promotes trade-enabling infrastructure and regional development, doubts linger over whether these initiatives are substantive or election-focused messaging. Canada underutilizes its vast oil and natural gas resources, which could generate revenue and stabilize the economy. Ports like Montreal and Churchill could boost LNG exports, create jobs, and strengthen the Canadian dollar. Yet regulatory delays, overregulation, and strict emissions caps limit production. Green energy initiatives, while promoted, often favor investor returns over tangible benefits for Canadians, frustrating communities and undermining confidence in federal priorities. The Liberal government's environmental policies face scrutiny, especially in British Columbia, where aerial glyphosate spraying on Crown lands raises health and ecological concerns. Indigenous groups and environmental advocates warn of cancer risks and ecological harm, exposing a gap between federal sustainability rhetoric and actual policy. Quebec's ban contrasts with continued use elsewhere for industrial profit, highlighting tensions between political optics and responsible governance. These contradictions erode public trust, emphasizing the need for coherent, transparent policies aligning environmental, health, and economic goals. Canada's current economic predicament reflects a complex mix of external trade pressures, internal policy mismanagement, and conflicting leadership agendas, with potential long-term consequences. Carney's MPO, coupled with close ties to key energy investors, reflects an emphasis on ambition over actionable results. Without decisive leadership and comprehensive reforms, the country risks a protracted economic contraction, declining investor confidence, and lost opportunities in both infrastructure and energy sectors. OECD recommendations highlight the urgency of reforms aimed at increasing productivity, internal market efficiency, and strategic economic planning to prevent further deterioration. Prolonged policy inertia and bureaucratic mismanagement could push Canada further toward recession, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of economic decline that is difficult to reverse. Taxpayers may bear the brunt of delayed strategies and political maneuvering, heightening public frustration and fueling skepticism toward federal priorities. Leadership must rise above conflicts of interest, focus on sustainable economic strategies, and deliver tangible results to restore confidence. Budget 2025 seeks to address these challenges, emphasizing targeted investment, economic growth, and support for struggling sectors while catalyzing innovation and workforce development. In response to U.S. trade tensions, the government is seeking to strengthen domestic capacity through investments in nation-building projects and critical sector transformation. The MPO aims to fast-track infrastructure projects and streamline regulatory processes to improve competitiveness. Initiatives intend to connect industries, diversify trade, create high-paying jobs, and uphold environmental standards and Indigenous rights, balancing economic development with social responsibility. Partnerships such as the new agreement with Germany on critical minerals and energy reflect Canada's efforts to secure supply chains, enhance research collaboration, and co-fund projects to boost domestic investment, employment, and the clean energy transition, positioning the country strategically in the global market. Critics argue Carney relies excessively on government intervention, suggesting that reducing taxes and regulatory burdens could more effectively enhance competitiveness and address economic challenges. Obstacles such as potential blockades, project interference, and bureaucratic inertia remain, despite legislative measures like Bill C-5 designed to remove interprovincial trade barriers. These challenges highlight the need for cohesive governance, efficient policy execution, and consistent leadership to restore economic momentum. Ultimately, the convergence of external tariffs, internal mismanagement, and questionable appointments has created a precarious economic environment demanding immediate attention. Canadians await leadership that prioritizes genuine progress over political optics, with the upcoming federal election serving as a decisive moment that will shape the nation's economic future. Investments in education, workforce readiness, and youth support underscore the importance of preparing the next generation for the challenges ahead, ensuring Canada can recover, compete, and thrive despite the current turbulence.